The text from my brother Kyle. Dad wants everyone at the house Sunday. Important announcement. Don't miss it. At 37, I was Executive Vice President of Commercial Lending at First National Bank. My division managed $8 billion in mortgages. Annual compensation, $680,000. My family thought I was a loan officer at a bank. Sunday arrived. I drove to the house, a Victorian in the historic district worth $1.2 million. My parents had lived there 23 years. Inside, the full family. My parents, Kyle and his wife Jennifer, my sister Amanda, Aunt Carol. Dad stood at the dining table looking pleased. Everyone's here. Perfect. He clicked a remote. A real estate listing appeared on TV showing the Victorian. Price: $1,150,000. We're selling the house. Mom jumped in. We're retiring to Arizona. Found a condo in Scottsdale. This house is too big. The realtor comes tomorrow morning to finalize the listing. Kyle raised his glass. Congratulations. There's more, Dad continued. We're splitting the proceeds. After the sale, each of you receives approximately $200,000. Early inheritance. Amanda squealed. $200,000? We've planned this for months, Mom said. The realtor says we'll sell within weeks. We could close by September. Aunt Carol beamed. You deserve this retirement. I sat quietly calculating. They were planning to sell for $1.15 million and distribute proceeds. One critical problem: they didn't own the house. I did. 8 years ago my parents faced foreclosure. They'd refinanced repeatedly, taken equity loans, missed payments. The bank holding their mortgage was foreclosing. 3 months from losing everything. I'd purchased the mortgage, $340,000 remaining, through a private transaction. Then restructured it to 0% interest with minimal payments they could afford. I never told them I owned their debt. I just said the new mortgage company was flexible. Over 8 years they'd paid me $180,000. They still owed $160,000. I held the mortgage. I held the lien. I held the legal right to foreclose. And they were about to commit mortgage fraud. Dad, have you checked the title on the house? He waved dismissively. Of course. We own it. Bought it 23 years ago. What about the mortgage? Is it paid off? We've been paying for years. Nearly done. The realtor said it won't be an issue. Did the realtor run a title search? She'll handle that. Why so many questions, Rebecca? Can't you be happy for us? I pulled out my phone and opened my bank's secure mortgage portal. I navigated to the property address. Property, 428 Elm Street. Mortgage holder, First National Bank, Private Holdings. Account manager, Rebecca Chin. Original $340,000. Amount paid, $180,000. Current balance, $160,000. Status, active current. I took a screenshot. Who holds your mortgage? What company? Dad frowned. Some holding company. Premier Mortgage Holdings or something. They took it over years ago. Premier Mortgage Holdings was the subsidiary I'd created for private mortgage purchases. Owned entirely by First National Bank. Under my division's control. Dad, you can't sell without paying off the mortgage first. You still owe $160,000. We'll pay it at closing. That's how it works. You're planning to distribute proceeds before closing? After closing. But we're promising the money now so you can plan. Kyle interjected. Rebecca, why are you being negative? This is a celebration. I'm being realistic. You can't sell without clear title. The mortgage holder has to release the lien. The mortgage company has been great. They'll work with us, Dad said confidently. Have you contacted them about the sale? Not yet. The realtor will handle it. I stood. I need to make a call. Excuse me. Outside I called my legal department. Sarah, it's Rebecca Chin. Fraud situation developing. Property at 428 Elm Street being listed by parties without clear title. Mortgage held in our private holdings under my management. Can you flag this? The borrowers are attempting to sell without notifying the mortgage holder? Correct. They're my parents. They don't know I hold their mortgage. Brief pause. Any listing attempt will be flagged as fraud. No title company will issue clear title with that lien. Prepare documentation. Full disclosure of mortgage holder, current balance, lien position. I need it by tomorrow morning. Understood. I returned inside. Everyone was discussing Arizona and spending their $200,000. Dad, when's the realtor coming? 9 a.m. Why? I'd like to be here. I work in banking. I can help explain the mortgage payoff process. He looked annoyed but agreed. That night I compiled everything. The original mortgage purchase, restructuring documents, 8 years of payment records, current lien position. I also pulled comparable sales showing the house was worth $1.2 million, not $1.15 million. They were undervaluing by $50,000. Monday morning I arrived at 8:45 a.m. The realtor pulled up at 8:55. A woman in her 50s with an expensive blazer. Good morning. Brenda Walsh, Walsh & Associates Realty. He shook hands. This is our daughter Rebecca, Mom said. She works in banking. Wonderful. Brenda pulled out folders. I've prepared everything. Listing agreement, disclosure forms, marketing plan. Your home will sell quickly. Have you run a title search? I asked. Not yet. We'll do that once we have a buyer. Standard procedure. What about the existing mortgage? Your parents mentioned a small balance. We'll handle that at closing. The title company coordinates with the mortgage holder. Who is the mortgage holder? Brenda flipped through papers. Premier Mortgage Holdings. I'll contact them once we have an accepted offer. You should contact them now. Before listing. She looked annoyed. That's not necessary. I pulled out my folder. Actually, you can't list without the mortgage holder's consent. And Premier Mortgage Holdings is unlikely to give consent with $160,000 outstanding. Dad frowned. Rebecca, what are you doing? Protecting you from mortgage fraud. I opened the folder and spread documents. This is the mortgage. Original balance, $340,000. Current, $160,000. Holder, Premier Mortgage Holdings, a subsidiary of First National Bank. Brenda leaned forward, reading. Hold up. This shows Premier Mortgage Holdings purchased your mortgage 8 years ago when you faced foreclosure. They restructured it to 0% interest. We know that, Dad said. They saved us. What you don't know is who owns Premier Mortgage Holdings. I pulled out the next document. Corporate structure showing Premier as a wholly owned subsidiary of First National Bank, managed by Rebecca Chen. Brenda's eyes widened. You're the mortgage holder? I'm the division head managing the mortgage. 8 years ago my parents were 3 months from foreclosure. I purchased their mortgage privately, then restructured it so they could afford payments. They've been paying me for 8 years. Mom's face went pale. You own our mortgage? First National owns it. I manage it. I purchased it to save you from foreclosure. Dad stood abruptly. Why wouldn't you tell us? Because you would have refused help if you'd known it was from me. You would have said you didn't need your daughter's charity. Kyle looked confused. So you can approve the sale, right? The problem is they listed without notifying the mortgage holder. They're undervaluing by $50,000. They've promised to distribute proceeds before closing. All of this creates legal complications. Brenda scrolled her phone. If First National holds the mortgage, any title search will flag this. No title company will issue clear title without mortgage satisfaction. The sale can't proceed until the $160,000 is paid. We'll pay it at closing, Dad repeated. You can't get to closing without clear title, I explained. Title search happens first. The search shows an outstanding lien. Buyers won't move forward. You're stuck. So what do we do? Mom asked. Option 1. Pay off the mortgage now before listing. That requires $160,000 cash. We don't have that, Dad said. Option 2. Get written consent from the mortgage holder, me, to list with an agreement the mortgage will be satisfied at closing. That seems simple, Brenda said. Option 3. The mortgage holder refuses consent and requires full payment before any sale. Silence. Rebecca, Mom said slowly, are you saying you could block us from selling our house? I'm saying I hold a $160,000 lien. Until satisfied you don't have clear title. You can't sell without clear title. That's mortgage law. Amanda spoke up. But you restructured the loan to help them. Why would you block it now? I'm not blocking it. I'm explaining the legal process. You can't list when there's an outstanding mortgage without involving the holder. Dad's face was red. This is why you came. To tell us we can't sell our house. This is your house. But it has a lien. A lien I hold. A lien that exists because I saved you from foreclosure when no other bank would touch it. We didn't ask you to do that. You were 3 months from losing everything. I did it to protect you. Brenda cleared her throat. I need to be honest. This is complicated. I can't list until the title issue is resolved. Any buyer's attorney will spot this immediately. What if we just don't tell them? Kyle suggested. That's fraud, I said flatly. Intentionally concealing a lien is mortgage fraud. It's a federal crime. Brenda packed her papers. I'm sorry. I recommend you work with your mortgage holder and resolve the title issue before relisting. She left quickly. Mom sat crying. Dad was pacing. Kyle looked angry. I can't believe you did this, Dad said. You bought our mortgage without telling us? You've been controlling our house for 8 years. I restructured your mortgage to save your house. You were drowning. I gave you 0% interest and affordable payments. You've been living comfortably because of what I did. Without asking us. Because you would have said no. Because you'd rather lose your house than accept help from your daughter who you've never taken seriously. Mom looked up. What do you mean? You think I'm a loan officer? I'm Executive Vice President of Commercial Lending at First National. I manage $8 billion. I make $680,000 a year. I've worked in banking 15 years. And you've never once asked about my career. Silence. When I got promoted to VP 5 years ago, Dad said, that's nice, and asked Kyle about his sales numbers. You've never seen me as successful. We didn't know, Mom whispered. Because you never asked. You assumed I did paperwork. You never imagined I'd have authority to purchase a $340,000 mortgage. You never imagined I'd be standing between you and foreclosure. Revelation. Kyle stood. So you're successful. Great. But you still secretly bought their mortgage. That's controlling. I saved their house. There's a difference. And now you're blocking the sale. I'm not blocking anything. I'm explaining legal reality. They can sell. But they need to satisfy the mortgage first or get my consent as lien holder. Dad stopped pacing. So give consent. Why should I? Because we're your parents. Because you're my parents who never thanked me for saving your house. Who never acknowledged what I did. Who planned to sell and pocket proceeds without telling me. Who just tried to commit mortgage fraud by listing without notifying the lien holder. We didn't know you were the lien holder. Which proves my point. You never asked. You never checked. You just assumed. Amanda finally spoke. Rebecca, what do you want? I pulled out another document. This is a mortgage satisfaction agreement. I'll release the lien and consent to the sale. In exchange, you acknowledge that I purchased and restructured your mortgage 8 years ago, saving you from foreclosure. You acknowledge the current balance of $160,000. And you agree to pay that balance from sale proceeds before distributing anything. That's it. Mom asked. That's it. I release the lien. So, you pay me the $160,000 you owe. You retire to Arizona with remaining proceeds. How much will be left? Dad asked. I pulled out my calculator. Sale price $1.2 million. It's undervalued at $1.15 million. Minus $160,000 mortgage payoff. Minus approximately $72,000 in commissions and closing costs. Net proceeds. Approximately $968,000. That's less than $1 million, Kyle said. That's the reality of selling a house with a mortgage. You owe money. That gets paid first. Mom looked at the agreement. And if we sign, you'll let us sell? I'll release the lien. You can list properly. Any title search will show clear title after mortgage satisfaction at closing. Dad picked up the agreement and read carefully. You really did save us 8 years ago, he said quietly. Yes. We would have lost the house. Yes. And you never told us because you thought we'd refuse help. I knew you'd refuse. You'd rather lose everything than accept it from me. He sat heavily. Maybe you were right about that. Resolution. They signed. I filed the mortgage satisfaction documentation, contingent on receiving $160,000 at closing. The lien status changed to pending satisfaction upon sale. The house was relisted at $1.2 million. It sold in 9 days for $1.23 million after a bidding war. At closing, the title company distributed funds. Mortgage payoff first, then closing costs, then sellers. My parents received $1,001,000. I received my $160,000 mortgage payoff plus $3,200 in accrued interest. Dad called that evening. The money cleared. We're buying the Arizona condo next week. Congratulations. Rebecca, I never thanked you for what you did 8 years ago. For saving the house. You're welcome. I'm sorry we didn't take your career seriously. I'm sorry we didn't realize how successful you'd become. I appreciate that. Can we start over? I thought about it. 8 years of secret mortgage payments. 8 years of zero interest when I could have charged market rate. 8 years of protecting them while they never acknowledged what I'd done. We can be in contact. But Dad, you need to understand something. I'm not a loan officer. I'm an executive at a major bank. I manage billions in assets. I have the authority to purchase mortgages, restructure debt, and foreclose on properties. I saved your house because I could. Because I had the position and resources. Don't forget that again. I won't. They moved to Arizona. Kyle stopped calling. Upset his promised $200,000 was reduced. Amanda sent a thank you card, acknowledging she never knew I was so important. 6 months later, I was promoted to Senior Executive Vice President. My division expanded to manage $12 billion. Compensation increased to $920,000. I didn't tell my family. They found out when it was announced in business press. Dad texted, "Saw the news about your promotion. That's incredible. Proud of you." I replied, "Thank you." No more needed to be said. The mortgage I'd purchased had been satisfied. My parents had their retirement. The house had been sold properly and legally. And they'd finally learned that assumptions about my importance, my authority, and my resources had been wrong for 8 years. The bank's mortgage system didn't lie. The lien documentation didn't lie. The $160,000 payoff didn't lie. Their assumptions about their loan officer daughter did. And in the end, those assumptions almost cost them their house sale, their retirement, and federal fraud charges. The mortgage system had flagged their attempted sale immediately. Because I was the mortgage holder. Because I'd always had the power to approve or deny their sale. Because I'd been protecting them for 8 years while they never realized it. They knew now.